Strategy and Snark presents Dungeons and Dragons Online. Welcome! Before we actually get into playing the game, we are going to take a look at the DDO character builder. This is something made by Matrim. He is a DDO player, put this together in his spare time. It is a wonderful tool for helping to remember what the hell you were doing. That is my primary use for it. I'll build out a character, I'll start playing it, I'll get distracted, and then like 6 months later, I'll go to play that character again and have no idea what I had planned on doing with it. It will also help you avoid gotchas. Say you want to build a big 2-weapon fighting guy. You're going to dual wield and you're going to stab all the things. And you put all your points in strength because you want to be like Drax the Destroyer, big and buff, right? So you roll up your character, you just start playing. Then you get hit by the 2-weapon fighting, dual wielding feats require dexterity. So throwing your character into the planner first is going to help you avoid those speed bumps, avoid having to redo your character, and really save you some headaches. Dungeons and Dragons Online, it's not that easy to redo your character. Like, it's there, but other MMOs have one path. Maybe, like Dark Age of Camelot's one I played a long time ago. You make a warrior, whatever, you pick whether you want axe, sword, or whatever the other option was. That was your choice. And respecking your character was just a matter of moving the points from sword to axe. That was it. The flexibility in Dungeons & Dragons Online, it lets you make mistakes. It will not stop you from making mistakes. And you can salvage a lot of stuff. But boy, is it more helpful if you look up, you know what you want ahead of time. Even if all you're doing, is you looked on the forum for a character build, like, oh, I'm going to build a bard, but I don't know anything about bard. Go look up a build on the forum. Even if all you do is copy paste all of it into this program and just save it. Great. In 6 months, when you remember you built a bard, you don't have to dig through the forum looking for your build anymore. It's just right there. So this builder will keep track of everything. And I mean everything. So, I don't even look at everything on here. So, the main thing that you're going to play around with, the class and levels, and your skills, and your stats, and your gear. So these 4 things. These are the things that I make sure I have visible all the time. This thing is so flexible. Watch this. I can just hit the X bunch of times and all of that goes away. The only thing that has to stay on the screen is, where you put in your name and your base stats. That's it. All of the other bits of your character are these buttons way up here at the top. In order, you've got special feats. So this is like if you reincarnated your character. If you're watching this kind of video, don't worry about that. You'll know when you know. Class and levels, that's the one I like. That's my favorite one. I always leave that up. You've got your enhancements. So this is like your skill trees. You've got your epic destinies. That's your epic skill trees. You've got your skills as you level up. You've got... I don't have a character in here yet, but this would be your spells. So if you're a wizard, you can just go click whatever spells you want. More important for bard and sorcerer that typically are locked in to their spell choices. So you can write down what spells you want ahead of time, plan the whole thing so you know what you're getting every level. He even put in the Reaper trees. So Again, if you know what that is, you don't need me to explain it. And if you don't know what it is, you don't need me to explain it. He's also put in this handy breakdowns feature, so it'll tell you all your stats and everything. It'll add them up from across all your different, your feats, your enhancements, your equipment. It'll add them all up and put them in there if you like really want to know what everything adds up to. The gear is amazing that this works. Depending on when you watch this, the gear is the hardest thing for him to keep up on. Matrim, the creator, as of this moment in time, there's about 3,000 errors in the item database, just because it takes so long to keep that updated. And he's just launched this 2.0 version of the builder, so not everything's got updated yet. So just keep that in mind, that sometimes the gear isn't perfect in here, but it's still very impressive. Stances for if you want to just turn on things like power attack just to see the bigger number in the breakdowns tab. Same with like there's just a lot of reporting things. I don't know why, but you can even look at your favor in here. Let's see, automatic feats, which you don't need, granted feats, like there's, and then there's the log, which you probably will notice. The log tends to, it's just the, you turned on the program, finished loading, finished loading, finished loading. It turns itself on every time I open the builder. I don't know why, but I could just close that piece, it goes away. Couple tricky things about the builder. One, when we open up something like the enhancements tab, okay, it doesn't have to live where it is right now. I can click on it and I can drag it. So you see way up here at the top, there's a little arrow up there. There's also this little D-pad right here in the middle. So there's one big one in the middle, and then at the very corners, there's another one. If I want this thing to take up the top of the screen, I hover over that top one and let go. Same if I want it on this side or the bottom, or like this is kind of the same right now. Say I put it on the bottom here, okay? And then say I want my equipment. Well, now my equipment is taking up the right side. Maybe I don't want that, so I'm going to drag it. Maybe I only want it up here on the right side. Or maybe I only want it taken up across the top. This, though, if you want to like layer things perfectly, see how the D-pad looking thing moves? First it's right here, now it's down here. You can split up every section multiple times to put things exactly where you want them. You just hover, like right there. I hovered over the right side, and now I have my enhancements right next to my gear, and they are not overlapping. I don't have to scroll back and forth to see either one of them. I can put them exactly where I want them. And in my case, I like to see, where's my This is the one I like having instant access to. And I like to see my gear, but I don't want the gear taking up a huge amount of space because it's kind of small. So it's going to go right there. This is how I like seeing it all the time. This is my feats as I level up, my gear. I don't usually actually punch in all of my enhancements, but I will point out, let me open up all of the things I was thinking about. So some of the things are grouped. So the enhancements and the epic destinies and the skills kind of by default are the same thing. So they will pop into the same spot, and they are tabs, which you can't really see on the video because my head is in the way. Hold on. Whoop. They are tabs down here. So I can just click between them so they are all active without taking up screen space, because I don't really need to see these all the time. But if I wanted to, I could grab that tab, drag it out, and put it somewhere. All right, put my face back in its proper place. Right, so we're going to go through actually making a character now, using the character build that we're going to be using for this whole playthrough. So we're going to start by just call it SAS Paladin. We are going to be picking Dragonborn. And sure, we'll leave it on Lawful Good. So, by picking Dragonborn, you'll see it's already popped in our +2 strength, -2 dexterity, +2 charisma that we get like as a racial bonus. I'm going to just click these little pluses up here till we get to our intended stats. So up to 17 strength, 16 constitution, and all the way up to 18 charisma. Now these other buttons here, if you have tomes, because you reincarnated or you find one as you go, you can click them in on the right stat and tell it which one, between 1 and 8. And it'll punch it in there. Tomes do count for prerequisites for things like feats and enhancements. So it's kind of baked in at the lowest level of, or the lowest tier of your character so that it can count for everything else. Similarly, you get a stat increase every 4 levels. So they default to strength. You can either switch them all to your stat that you want, or there's even an option here. I'm going to click all charisma, and it changes all of them to charisma for me with one click. If you are looking for the 32-point builds, it's right here. It's something you can unlock via favor. Basically, you get your first character to max level. You'll be more or less having unlocked this for free. If you reincarnate your character and you're looking for how to unblock 34 and 36-point builds, open up the first one that I had there. No. The special feats pane. This is where you will click to tell it which past lives you have. Don't worry about that if you're new. You don't have any. That's not a bad thing. Just don't worry about it. Just as a note, if you can't get these to click, if you click on that and it doesn't do anything, try clicking on the word. Because mine was a little stuck at first, like I couldn't select any of these. I click on the word heroic, and that's going to put 1 in everything, and then it would let me interact with it. You can also right-click on heroic to take them all out. So very convenient if you're a triple completionist. You just click, 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 done. Right, well, that tab can go away now. Before I forget, if you're having trouble, like if you save this and quit out, and you open it up again, and all your tabs are moved off in random spots, and they won't stay where you want everything to stay. I couldn't get it to stick where I left it until I moved the whole program into my documents folder, because it was in the program files for basic, that's where Windows puts everything. But I think the problem was it wasn't able to write, it didn't have permission to write to its own INI file to remember the settings. Because this program, my antivirus tries to kill this program whenever I download it. You have to manually tell Windows that the program is okay, right? So it won't let it write to its own system settings file. So put it in your documents folder. That cleared mine up. And if you open it and it's still a little weird, I don't know why this works, but without closing it, just open a second copy, and then for some reason that works. Then I close them both, open it up again, works just fine. Something about juggling that file. Anyway, back to making the character. We've got our charisma. We've got our stats. To pick our class, we're going to click this little drop-down menu right here. And there's all the classes. We're going to pick Paladin, because that's what we're going to be doing. So you'll notice it did a couple things there. It put this Paladin icon all the way to level 20. It threw a feat in there for us. Our feats are in different spots now slightly. And we now have our skills. We now have a number of skill points over here on our skills tab. If you want to multi-class, you click that same box, just the one next to the one that you just did. Say we want to be a Paladin Monk. Alright, well now we have Monk in there. You click in the box at the level you say you're going to take that class. So if it's going to be level 9 and 18 as I'm taking my Monk levels, well, the builder will just shift everything appropriately. We have the correct number of skill points at those two levels. We have our bonus feats at those levels. Does everything for you. I'm going to click this back over to Paladin and unselect Monk just to get it out of the way. We're going to just be pure Paladin. That's the easiest way for us to do it. Now, for our skills, this particular character, not going to be a big thing. We're going to take Use Magic Device, and we're just going to max it out. Which I believe, if I click on the word Use Magic Device, it puts skill points all the way across. Do we have anything left? We have half a point left. We will put that last point like that, and at level 1 we'll put 1 point into Tumble so that we are eligible to tumble. Paladin's not a big skill class. You potentially could put the points into Jump just to have a little easier time running around until you can get like jump potions or something that can let you have more jump naturally. We are going to be charisma based instead of strength based. A lot of strength based characters don't take jump because strength will give you more jump. But this is a movement based game, so it would not be wrong to take jump. Just as a little glimpse into the future, this is the second video for this builder. I'm redoing it because there was a big update. So I've already played through the whole game. And boy, there were a couple times where it would have been nice to have a little bit more jump, and we almost never use Magic Device. So legitimately, jump might actually be the better option. Anyway, the skill section doesn't look that interesting, but keep in mind if you're a multi-class, okay? Different classes get different amounts of skill points, and they get different available class skills. Okay. Just for the sake of argument, let's say we had one level of rogue in here, right? If I just click on heal, boom, we have all 23 ranks in heal. But because that one rogue level was cross-class, there's actually 2 skill points in that level, right? If we had just picked something else that level, doesn't matter what, and then we can double up on the point the next level, assuming we have enough skill points to even have 2, right? You can catch it up, and we've only used 1 skill point instead of 2, and we're at the same total by the end. If you're doing any kind of rogue splash, pay attention, okay? Because you can keep things like Disable Device and Use Magic Device or Open Lock or Search. You can catch up those skills on the rogue levels where you get way more skill points without having to burn as many regular ones. So instead of a consistent plus half of a point every level, You put them all in a rogue, usually level 1 as rogue, isn't standard. So you have a whole bunch at level 1, and then you don't increase them for like 8 levels until you get to wherever you're taking your second rogue level, and then you dump all the points into those rogue skills and catch them up all at once. The planner is how you make sure you keep more things maxed out. These are free skill points if you plan ahead. Alright. Let's get that all undone there. We're going to put our very basic use magic device and tumble back in. We're not a skill-based character at all. Alright, feats. This is probably the thing that I forget the most. Feats are one of the hardest things to fix. If you screw up your skills, you have to reincarnate your character and start back at level 1 to fix them. Or buy one of the store items, etc., etc. But skills are kind of a low impact on your character. So if you mess them up a little bit, you've got like 20 points instead of 23. Not a big deal. Feats, on the other hand, hoo boy, do not mess up the feats. These are very tedious to fix without just starting your character back at level 1 with the reincarnation system. Yes, you can do it. No, it's not worth it. It's way more complicated than it should be, and they need to fix it. So, planning ahead. This is going to be a two-handed fighting character. We're going to use a big two-handed sword. So, here at level 1, we get 3 feats. Kind of. The first one we click on here, it's just asking us black, blue, red, or white. Because we picked a Dragonborn. This is our ancestry. We're going to pick red. So we get some fire resistance. It's just the easiest, most common type of damage we're going to take. So we're just not going to take as much damage from that. This third one, just to skip ahead a bit, is our faith, which is dangling off the edge of the screen. But that's okay. We're a paladin. That's a religious class. So we get to pick a religion. We're going to pick follower of the sovereign host. I don't know if it's host or host. It gives us basically nothing at level 1. But later it's going to let us take a really big heal. All of these are like decent options. Each of them has their own favored weapon. The one we're picking is long swords, which we're not actually going to use. But it gives us that heal. So it's of the ones that's there, it's the most useful to me. And then our real feat, the long, long list of feats, is the one here in the middle. We're going to start out with the very obvious two-handed fighting. Now, as I scroll through here, you'll see there's a lot of feats, okay? A neat little trick built into the builder is if you know you're never going to take a feat, like bullheaded, +1 will save, +2 intimidate. I'm never going to take that. Right-click on it, it's off the list forever. If you ever make a mistake, there is a button right here that it puts everything back, right, in case you accidentally click something you do want. Because, say, discipline. I don't know if it's still in DDO, but there used to be something you had to take the discipline feat to qualify for. I might be thinking many, many updates ago. I don't think it's there anymore. But I'm never going to take discipline. Whoop, there it goes. I don't have to look at it anymore. Same with athletic, alertness, acrobatic. All these little level 1, like, crappy feats that I'm never going to take. Right? I can make them go away. Alright, let's just grab our two-handed fighting. That's going... So, for those who don't know, the difference between one-handed, two-handed, and dual wielding. Okay? One-handed, the advantage of that one is you can use something in your other hand like a shield, so it's more defensive. And there is a single weapon fighting feat line you can take that's kind of like swashbuckling, nothing in your offhand, very Three Musketeers type fencing kind of style. It has a very high attack speed. But it's usually locked into, like, you're going to be taking a specific class like Bard and actually take these swashbuckler enhancements in order to really take advantage of that. Sword and Shield, there's a shield set of feats that makes your shield better, which is really just kind of defensive, and if you're not, you don't really want to level up with that. It's not going to be a good time. So the big two are two-handed fighting and two-weapon fighting. Two-weapon fighting is you're generally going to do more damage to a single guy. Two-handed fighting, like greatsword, you're going to do you're going to do damage to a group of people. They have a thing called strike through, so even with just the first feat, 60% strike through chance. Every time I hit somebody, there's a 60% chance I will hit the guy next to him as well for full damage. That's what it is. And the more of those feats we take, the higher that number goes up until I think we ended up at 200 something percent. So I always hit 3 guys, because there's the first guy, then the first 100, and the second 100. And then there's a chance of hitting a 4th guy. And that's per swing. So you can clear out rooms of guys nice and easy. Our level 3 feat here, we're going to take a bit of a weird one, okay? We're going to be taking magical training. All it says is that we get more spell points, but what we're really taking it for is it's a prerequisite for our enhancement tree we're going to take later. So the enhancement trees over here, normally Paladin gets Knight of the Chalice, which is your holy go smite people tree, Sacred Defender, which is the defense tree, your tank, and what's the other one? Where are you, third one? Oh, they must have just kind of shortcut. So, the Sacred Defender is the tanky one. And then there's Vanguard. Okay. Vanguard is the exact same tree that the fighter gets. And it's the one that is actually like, I'm going to use my shield as a weapon and also attack with that. So, if I want to be on a tacky paladin, yeah, I take Knight of the Chalice for the smites. But the other two don't really do a lot for me. So instead, we're going to end up taking Feydark Illusionist, which we unlock in the Feywild. It is something you're going to have to buy. Not necessarily the enhancement tree, but you're going to need access to Feywild. Okay? I'm assuming you have access to all of the adventures. Or you're watching along to see if you want that particular adventure. This character needs the Feydark tree. This character needs you to have Feywild. That one adventure pack in particular, you need it. You don't need the special edition. You don't need the collector's edition. You just need access to the area, just in general. It can be the cheapest. It could be the Black Friday $2 deal. I don't care. You just need Feywild. I guess you could technically buy the enhancement tree without buying Feywild, but why would you do that? So, that's what lets us use our charisma and ignore all of our other stats. So, that out of the way. We just have to take it. Magical training. We just have to take it to qualify to use the tree. That's our tax for getting to ignore having to take strength and all that. Level 6, we're going to get the next two-handed fighting feat. So we get another 30% chance. So we go from 60% to hit a second guy to 90% just on our feats. And this second one that had popped something in here automatically, this one is, so Search the Soul is the generic feat, which you can choose. If you're not sure which deity you want, you can just pick this one, and then you never have to worry about swatching the feats around. Or you can take the specific one, which if you wanted to swap this one out, you'd have to swap this over to Search the Soul, and then you could switch your religion, because they're in line. This is one reason I don't like having to change feats. Anyway, this is our big heal. This is our once every 10 minutes, fully heal yourself, remove all conditions. Or at least most conditions. And it's just free. Every 10 minutes, just, alright, push the button. It's more useful than most of the other religion ones. Level 9, we're going to take Improved Critical for slashing. If you are a weapon-based character, you take Improved Critical, like 95% of the time. Let's see, level 12 is just greater two-handed fighting. We get another 30% chance. So now we're at 120% with just our feet, so we're guaranteed to hit 2 people every swing. We also get a +6 melee power boost while two-handed fighting, and an ability score bonus to damage. So just you're doing more damage, and you're doing it to more dudes every time you take one of those feats. It's pretty good. Look, these last 2 feats before we hit epic levels, they're a little bit, spice to taste. I take Power Attack because, where are you at, Power Attack? It's going to give us just straight up more damage per hit at the cost of some accuracy. Two-handed weapons get double the damage bonus. So I think it's what? -5 accuracy plus 10 damage per hit. I like it. It used to be like a level 1 take, but the game's kind of moved away from Power Attack being the best feat. It's still good. It's just not as overwhelmingly must-take as it used to be. And then my level 18 feat, honestly, this one is very optional. I take Extend a Spell because I like having my spells last longer. Paladin has a couple of spells that only last like a minute or two. Like you're supposed to cast them before the fight and they only last long enough for that fight. But with Extend, they go from like 2 minutes to like 4 minutes, and it's like I can squeeze like an extra fight, or I don't have to worry about it expiring mid-fight. It's just kind of a nice quality of life thing. But it is also not really necessary if there's another feat you really want. So getting into the epic stuff, Overwhelming Critical, for the same reason we take Improved Critical. And then Perfect Two-Handed Fighting gives us even more two-handed fighting bonus. Pretty simple so far, right? Here's where we get a little tricksy. Okay. Took me a second, but I figured it out. So, one of the other buttons that I glossed over earlier, way up here, is Epic Feats only for Epic Feat slots. I want to take a regular feat instead of an epic feat, because the epic feats are kind of poopy for melee characters at this level. Like, these are all, like, caster stuff. This is wizard and sorcerer kind of stuff. Like, sure, you could go +1 to your stat, but I don't want to burn a feat on +1 stat. Yeah, just, these are not great. So we could take +1 charisma. That's not wrong, but I'm going to uncheck that box. And now when I click in here, I'm going to look at Child of Faith. Because we are a religious class, paladin, right? We can take these generic feats that they kind of stuck in here. This gives us +2 attack and damage, so accuracy and damage per hit, as long as we're using a favored weapon, which we are. Oh, let me fix... when I was troubleshooting, I forgot to fix some of the other little buttons there. There we go. So, Child of Faith, +2 accuracy, +2 damage per hit. That is the equivalent of 4 charisma. Okay? This feat is like 4 charisma. Yeah, it doesn't affect all of our other little bonuses that charisma incidentally helps, but all we want to do is hit things. There we go. We hit things. I feel like a lot of people don't know about Child of Faith and its big brother. If we skip ahead to level 27, Beloved of the Divine. It's the exact same feat, but they stack. And in between there, at 25, we're going to take Double Strike. Just 5% extra chance to hit twice instead of one time. It's just generically good. Yeah, there's... Honestly, once you get past overwhelming critical and perfect two-handed fighting, it's a little barren for a straight melee character up here. 28, we're going to take Embodiment of Law. It is mostly a prerequisite for a cute ability that we take later. It is not that important. It's just neat that when we get in here to our Epic Destinies, which I haven't put in yet, we get an extra thing because we have this feat. That's basically it. It is going to make our automatic light damage we do every hit do a little bit more damage. So it is more damage. Somewhere in the 10 to 20 damage per hit, I think, off the top of my head. Not a lot, but it's free. Well, you know, especially compared to how little everything else here does. Our final true feat off of the list, we are going to take Force of Personality, which is going to let us completely ignore Wisdom for our defenses. So, like, if somebody tries to cast basically anything that needs a will save, so charms or any mind game kind of stuff, we get to use our really big charisma number instead of our very small wisdom number. Our wisdom's going to be at most 14, so our base 8 plus wearing an item. We're not going to have a big wisdom, but we will have a big charisma. That'll help us shrug stuff off. For the legendary feat, everybody gets to pick one of these when they hit level 30. We're going to pick Arborea, like every other melee, because it gives the most melee. Like, some of these are elementally locked, but as much as I want to play with the rest of these, like, Arborea for a melee is just always the best. It gives, like, if we simplify the math, Arborea is, hey, you want to do 20% extra damage per hit? And it gives it to you. Everything else, you kind of have to either jump through a hoop to make it work, or you have to be like a fire sorcerer, acid sorcerer, water sorcerer. Like, there's really only one option. And then our final feat here, we're going to take Shield Master Specialty. So I mentioned earlier, you don't really want to take the shield feats while you're leveling up, because being super turtly and defensive when you're leveling everything's going to take forever to kill. Shield Master Specialty is here. So, if you have greater of any of the other ones, so greater two-handed, greater single weapon, greater two-weapon, technically also greater shield mastery. If you have any of the greater feats, This one feat will give you the total bonuses of all three of a different line. Do we care about going from two-handed to two-weapon fighting? No. But sometimes maybe we'll put a shield on. Maybe we're just kind of running through a trap. Maybe we're just kind of passively participating in a raid and we just need to not die while we're waiting on the next phase or something. Put the shield on. It's basically free. You have just as much shield training as somebody who actually picked all three shield feats. You don't have the enhancement tree for it, but hey, it's cool. It's 3 feats for the price of 1, and nothing else was really jumping out at here. Yeah, at a glance, no. Not really. Excuse me. Nothing else going to be in there. So, that's our build. As far as the builder's concerned, you can just leave it right there. Hit save, and you're done, right? You play the character, and like I said, 6 months go by, and you forget, what freaking feat was it I was taking at level 24? I don't remember. Open it up, there you go. If you've got a complicated skill tree here where you are multi-classed multiple times and you need to remember what levels you take which skill points, that's what this is for. The gear is really cool when it works. It's a little buggy at this particular moment in time, but the way it will work when it gets ironed out, where, say I want goggles, I click on the goggle slot, here's all the goggles. Like this part works. You can even, there's a button in here somewhere, I don't remember where it is, to like take out the raid items, which I do that a lot because I don't do the raids. It's kind of hard to read it, but if I hover over any of these items, it gives me what the item does, what its potential set bonuses are, and what quest it comes in. So say I want to just equip this item, okay? This happened to have a set bonus on it. It's going to start tallying my set bonuses over here. So if and you can also just click the middle one. It'll take, well, that was fast. Usually takes a second to load that one up because it's all the slots at the same time. When it works, you can type in something like family and it'll bring up the 3 part of the family items. That part's not quite ironed out yet, but it will actually put like all the items are in here. You just have to kind of scroll down and look for the item you want. I will have a separate video on how you decide which items you want, but for the time being, let's just say we want, oh come on, give me one that I know it is. Where are you? Hammer Fist, there you are. So, this is one of the part of the family set. I use this all the time. So, it's red up here because I don't have enough items equipped. I have to put all 3 on, and then it'll turn green and say you got those bonuses. Also, when I click on here, so I've got the Hammer Fist, it's already loaded up, pointed at Hammer Fist. You can pick what you want to put in the enhancement slots right in here too. And, again, tooltips saying exactly what all of these do. So you can, I mean, even down to the deck curse, which is a brand new thing that they put in the game. You can put all your gear in here, and then you don't have to remember where anything is. There's even a builds pane where you can make multiple versions of your character in case you want to just kind of save options for later. This thing is great. I mean, this is about as far as I usually go right here. This will get you 90%, 95% of the way there. Get your feats wrote down, get your skills down, your stats, and maybe, as a point of reference, if you're grabbing a build off of the forum, you might as well go throw the gear in there. Even if it's not gear you're going to get, like they're using raid gear and you're not comfortable doing the raid, put the gear in there because it'll still tell you what that gear does. Hammer Fist has Insightful Double Strike and it has Seeker and Insightful Deadly. So even if I didn't want to use that item, it's like, okay, well this, I can find a different item that has vaguely those things and it'll be fine. There's usually some kind of normal item to replace a raid item. They just won't be quite as good. So, I think I hit all of the things. Let me know if I missed anything. And I'll try to stick it into version 3 of this video the next time he updates. But yeah. This is the builder. Use it. You will thank yourself in 6 months when you don't have to go back and completely remake your character because you forgot what you were going to do. Just as a side tip, even if you don't want to rely on the builder, maybe you build your character and you want it, like if you ever wanted to save this in game, just little tip. Your character on his character select screen, or your character stat screen, so push like C when you're in game, your character sheet, right? There's a little tab that says bio. You can click on that, and that's where people were supposedly going to put their fluffy backstory. Just put this stuff. Put, say you're already level 6, right? Put 9, improved crit, 12, greater two-handed fighting, 15, power attack. You can just write your whole build in your bio, and then you don't have to remember it in case your computer breaks down multiple times and you lose all of your character files from the builder, which may or may not have happened this week. So, yeah. Enough rambling from me. Next video, we're going to Korthos. So, we're going to get this thing started, get our feet wet in the game, see how well this build holds up. It holds up very well. Honestly, I know I said it before. Planning your character out is very rewarded in this game. This is a very solid build, and I basically just helicopter spin my way through the whole game. Like, it's very few times am I ever stopped by anything. If I was playing on my main account that had access to just playing on hard or elite mode right out of the gate, we would have been playing on elite mode quite a bit, and even when I chicken out, always hard mode. Okay? This build will absolutely crush normal mode. Every quest. Every quest. And once you get the gear in here, this is a legitimate character build, and you would feel okay going into higher difficulty stuff. I am not experienced with Reaper mode and raids and all that, but I'm pretty confident about this build. Anyway, I'm out. That's enough random tips from me. This video's gone way longer than expected already. So, hope to see you next time when we actually get into the game. Y'all take care.